Good day everyone. I'm here in front of you to present what I've learned on this subject. Said Prof 211 the child and learners and learning principles. These subjects are important for future educators. It helps us establish an awareness about the child's how they grow, develop, mature, and learn. We are able to know what will be the great steps for their growth and development, which will have a great impact on their lives as a person. When they grow up, they must understand their development, which involves their growth patterns. It also helps us to give attention to the children. First and foremost, we give a definition on developmental change. Developmental change is a basic fact of human existence, and each person is developmentally unique. We didn't prevent this developmental change as we grew up because, as we can see, it is a process that occurs for our beings throughout growth. As can be seen, gene expression, brain function, cognitive processes, behavior, and environmental factors all have various cross-level interactions. Our brains will become weaker as we age, and we will be unable to function correctly as a result of change. Our behavior changes as well, resulting in mood swings and a nasty temper that we can't manage all the time. Those changes we notice are an essential aspect of life that must be acknowledged. We also have the stages of human development. This stage of human development will be the one at which humans will be able to learn new things and perceive changes in their physical, cognitive, social, and emotional reactions. These stages really give us ideas on how we are going to develop from beginning of our lives and until we are in adulthood stage. It also involves us a developmental task. The first stage is prenatal development. What I've learned about prenatal development is that it is possible to make progress before birth. It entails unprecedented growth from a single cell to an organism with a brain and behavioral capabilities. It is also the process of the cell that causes a baby to develop. The cell's growth is at an advanced stage as a result of this development. It also have three stages: the germinal stage, embryonic stage, and fetal stage. The next is infancy. What I've learned about the development of infancy, which allows them to learn a variety of skills. They start to engage in psychological activities like language, symbolic thought, and coordination. They will be able to move in an uncoordinated manner. They will also improve their fine motor skills. They enjoy imitating their parents or the people around them, and their mood swings are common. Next is early childhood. What I've learned about early childhood development is their age, which is 3 to 5 years old, language, and interactions with other people. They will learn a lot of new words and expand their vocabulary. Climbing stairs is an example of a simple, fine, and gross motor skill. They enjoy fantasizing about things that aren't true and will share their fantasies with others. They frequently interact with the strangers, which allows them to learn new words, but it can also have a negative impact on them. They will also learn to socialize with other children, which will make them happy. Next is middle and late childhood. What I've learned about the development of middle childhood and late childhood is based on the actions, developmental tasks that they are capable of performing, and they are between the ages of 6 and 12. At this age, both girls and boys are large and muscular. They will also be aware of the developmental of complex motor skills. They will also be taught fundamental skills such as reading, writing, and calculating. Next is adolescence. What I've learned about adolescent development is about their emotions, physical changes, and how they think. It starts when they reach puberty and concern about their appearance due to the changes. It also starts with them establishing their self-identity. Next is early adulthood or young adulthood. What I've learned about the development of early adulthood focuses on their physical, emotional, and role development as well as their progress. At this age, their physical development is complete, and they learn to accept responsibilities. Next is middle adulthood. What I've learned about middle adulthood begins with physical changes, as their primary concerns are health, job, aging, parents. They always bring love and acceptance into their lives and the lives of those around them. Next is late adulthood. What I've learned about late adulthood is the physical, cognitive, and emotional changes that occur. Some of this is due to their memory issues. These stages, which I have noticed, have really given us ideas on how to make our lives more meaningful. Each stage must be completed before a person can proceed to the next. Next is learner-centered psychological principles. I've learned a lot in the learner-centered psychological principle as well. And it has shown me how to be a successful learner with the great strategies and order to have a nature of learning process. It also has factors that assist the learner in determining what to do, which are as follows. The first is cognitive and metacognitive factors. I've learned about cognitive and metacognitive factors that will help me learn more effectively. The nature of the learning process that is most effective from experience and information that also has goals of having representations of knowledge with full support. While being a successful learner means having the construction of knowledge through having new information that is useful in meaningful ways. So, it is useful for developing strategic thinking skills by employing reasoning strategies to achieve learning objectives. By utilizing technologies and other learning contexts, we will able to achieve success as learners. Next is motivational and affective factors. What I've learned about motivational and affective factors, which is all about the motivation that needs to be established in order to be a successful learner. This motivation will have a significant impact on the learner. It influences the learner's motivation to motivate themselves through their beliefs, interests, goals, and habits. Learners will be motivated both intrinsically and extrinsically. Intrinsic motivation is all about their personal interest in life as well as their control or choices. Extrinsic motivation comes from their grades and incentives. Its consequences for effort are complex knowledge and skills. Learners will be motivated to learn as a result of this. Next is developmental and social factors. What I've learned about developmental and social factors is that it's all about opportunities. It works best when applied to the physical, intellectual, emotional, and social domains. These developments will assist learners in developing themselves while engaging in social interactions and communication with others. They are able to form strong beliefs and learn new things. And the last factors is individual difference factors. What I've learned about individual differences is that they are all about the learner's self. They will be able to use their various strategies and abilities, as well as their linguistic, cultural, and social backgrounds, to learn more effectively. The standards and assessment are also part of their learning because they are necessary for them to be successful learners. I've also learned about Freud's psychoanalytic theory, which has had a significant impact on human development. Its perspectives on human development date back more than a century. We all have our own personalities that we develop as we grow. We can say that our personalities aren't formed because they begin the moment we are born. Freud developed a theory about personality and its components. What I've learned about psychoanalytic theory is that there are 5 stages and along the way, there are needs to be met. Those needs must be prioritized in order for great results to be part of the development. The first stage I've learned about is the oral stage and has an erogenous zone in the mouth, in which child focuses on oral pleasures such as sucking. There is also personality type which oral receptive occurs for the purpose of concentrating on oral activities. The child has a habit of biting their nails when they are being verbally aggressive. Anal stage is the second stage I've learned about. At this stage, the children are also focused on their pleasure areas, which is their anus. At this stage, children will learn toilet training because they find satisfaction in eliminating. This stage can be difficult for children because they must maintain cleanliness. While also being messy, the third stage I've learned about is the phallic stage. This is the stage at which the child begins to focus on their pleasure areas, which are the genitals. When they see people around them who are too neat with their bodies, they become interested in it. and having feelings that girls are different from boys. For this stage that I've learned from psychoanalytic theory is the latency stage. It's an exciting stage because they're focusing on their physical, academic abilities, and they will interact with people of the same gender. The final stage I've learned about is the genital stage. This is the stage of psychosexual development for both genders, in which they are focused on sexual urges that have awakened. I've also learned about Freud's personality components, which are the id, ego, and superego. I've also learned about Piaget's stages of development. Jean Piaget's stages of development, which I've learned about, are about how children think. It is also about the cognitive development of children and adolescents, which they must be able to identify and apply for themselves. I've also learned the fundamental cognitive concepts of schema, assimilation, and equilibrium. So first is schema, which refers to cognitive structures that individuals use to adapt and organize their environment intellectually. It does, however, help people understand and make sense of what they see as things or what they have been experiencing. It aids the child in identifying and learning from it. Assimilation. It is the next thing I've learned. It is for the children to have a new experience and learn from it. But because of the people around them, they also teach them what the names of the things they see. And as for the last concept, equilibrium. It is all about every person's natural need to understand how the world works and to know what they will need to do to know for the rest of their lives. We also have Piaget cognitive development stages. This stage assists children in developing a knowledgeable thinking and completing their development. The first stage I've learned about is the sensory motor stage. In this stage, the child's movements, such as reaching, sucking, and grasping, have become more organized. They will be able to learn new things or perform activities by using their senses and muscles. I've also learned that the pre-operational stage is critical for the child to learn and be intelligent at this stage. They begin to use symbols to understand what they can see, and they begin to develop egocentrism because their points of view on what they can see is that it is the same with others. They have the periods where they only focus on one thing that they can understand. They were able to solve operations due to reversibility. But when it was reversed, they did not understand it. Animism arises from the children's encounters with inanimate objects. It also has times when children are good at reasoning, allowing them to share what they know. The next stage I've learned is the concrete operational stage, in which the child thinks logically in terms of concrete objects and appears between the ages of 8 and 11. It marks the children's progression to become a dysentery, which is focusing on objects. Reversibility, which means they now know how to compute operations even if they are reversed. And conservation, which means allow children have the ability to know certain properties such as mass, measure, and number. They now understand how to measure water, and it is not the same. Seriation is the ability of children to understand the order and arrangement of objects based on their properties. The last stage that I've learned is all about the formal operational stage, in which they become more logical. This stage will see their developed thinking. They will be able now to solve problems such as hypothesizing, for making decisions based on the problems, perceiving a relationship, and having a general rule to follow when applying logical thinking. I've also learned about the moral development because it's important for us to understand the difference between right and wrong. It's also a process that helps us become better people for the sake of the people around us. When it comes to Kohlberg's moral development, it has a significant impact on human development because it allows them to grow well, and no one skips these stages of development which lead to decisions and choices. What I've learned about cognitive development from Vygotsky is all about scaffolding. Scaffolding is the technique in which the child is supported by a more knowledgeable individual so that we can perform a task that the child is unfamiliar with and they can learn from it. It is having a teaching session that the child will benefit from it because they will be able to learn new things that they did not know before and apply them to themselves. And as a cultural form of mediation, the use of language. This mediation will have a significant impact on the children because it will act as an interposing tool between the environment and the children. In order to have a successful outcome, they will mediate certain things for certain benefits. Let's also proceed with what I've learned, which is also the development, which is the physical, cognitive, and socio-emotional development that needs to be completed for the children to grow up well. First is the infants and toddlers. Physical development at this stage is such that they can talk and walk, whereas toddlers are active and learning to walk. When it comes to infants, they start sucking, swallowing, and growing quickly, especially in terms of height and weight. They were staying healthy by having a bottle feed and breastfeeding. When it comes to toddlers' brains, there are dramatic changes. In addition to having a healthy body, they will be able to learn skills, such as gross and fine motor skills. Toddlers are eating foods at this stage, particularly nutritious foods, in order to have a strong immune system. While in cognitive development, I've learned that it's important for infants and toddlers because it allows them to pay attention and think about the world around them. It is for them to ensure that their memory and attention are working properly, as well as their ability to manage and respond to their experiences. So they will investigate and figure things out also. Considering the socio-emotional development of infants and toddlers, I've learned that it will have a significant impact on them in terms of learning a positive social and emotional development. It helps them develop self-confidence, empathy, and meaningful abilities. It also promotes rapid growth because they gain an understanding of the world around them, which aids in their competence and interactions. Let's proceed on what I've learned about the primary schoolers. I've learned that physical development of primary schoolers is slow but steady. It has rapid change in their height and weight, which continues to increase the factors that are important for them to grow up: bones and muscles, motor development, and physical activity, such as gross and fine motor skills, which are really helpful to them. Further nutrition, which contributes to their development by providing them with a strong immune system. Having caregivers or care providers who guide them, such as teachers or parents, is also beneficial. I've learned that one of the most important aspects of primary schoolers' socio-emotional development is for them to form positive relationships with others and surround themselves with positive people, which helps them to increase their self-confidence. Being with others is similar to playing games because it is a social dimension that influences their behavior. Children's development is based more on social interaction because sharing, helping, saying sorry and excuse me, and having a social interaction helps them to learn to know what is right and wrong. It also necessitates different caregiving styles in order to make children feel warm, cared for, and respected by adults. Positive emotions and empathy are beneficial to the child. I've learned that play is important for children because cognitive development have the ability to think, understand, communicate, remember, and imagine. Because it is a part of the child's cognitive development for them to explore and learn new things. They will be able to establish a focus. Let's proceed on what I've learned about the development of intermediate schoolers. Physical development. In studying the physical development of intermediate schoolers, I've learned that children are more interested in physical activities because they enjoy interacting with others. Biking is one of the most activities that they enjoy doing with their family and friends. They are also sensitive at this stage due to the changes. It also promotes their growth, which includes changes in their body such as height and weight, nutrition, and maturation. When it comes to socio-emotional development of intermediate schoolers, I've learned that children are more active in developing friendships and prefer to spend time outside with their same sex. They understand how to demonstrate improve emotional understanding and self-awareness. When it comes to cognitive development of intermediate schoolers, I've discovered that they enjoy the abilities that they can now use, such as their thinking skills, which are becoming more effective, and their schoolwork, which is more becoming complicated at this stage. Their reading skills are improving and they understand the meanings. They are more dependent on others and more focused on what they are doing. They are also creative in their efforts because they enjoy discovering new things. Let's proceed on what I've learned in the development of high school learners. Physical development. When it comes to their physical development, I've learned that they undergo many changes as a result of being adolescents. They will now be mature and focus on their physical appearances as a result of changes such as growth spurts, enlargement of the breast for girls, and muscle growth. Because of their behavioral patterns, they are not getting enough sleep. They place more value on their bodies and being healthy, but others are unhealthy in order to achieve their ideal body. When it comes to socio-emotional development of high school learners, I've discovered that they are more likely to have a good and positive environment that encourages brain development as well as social connection. They were attempting to understand their place in society, their roles and their responsibilities, as well as how to proceed to their futures. They are now regulating their emotions and becoming aware of their own needs and the feelings of others. While studying the cognitive development of high school students, I've learned that they have the ability to think, reason, and understand things. They are more concrete when it comes to planning their future. They are also engaged in a complex thinking process and abstract thinking which aids in formation of their own ideas.